thought I'd make a video about cleaning up the muffler. These mufflers, as you may recall, on the 55 Puch was just painted silver. They have like a primer, and then somebody painted them silver. Any baffles out. Turned out that the best way to do that, I think, would be to do it before you take the muffler off the bike, really, because it holds it pretty good for you. But they're die cast. These baffles are die cast. These bikes are really made pretty good. They're impressive. This seems to be some sort of an extension that's put on with a cotter pin here. But this whole works will pull out of that muffler. And I just put a chain wrench, which you can get. It's a vice grip chain wrench, and there's some cheaper. This is probably not a vice grip. It's probably something else. But you can get them at probably any place that sells plumbing supplies and stuff. It's like a motorcycle chain, clamps on there like vice grips. And work that thing back and forth until you can pull it out of there. This being aluminum, I'll have to kind of watch that. I don't want to leave it too long in the hot tank. That's how I got the paint off of here. The other one of these mufflers is in here, which I'll show you what it looks like when you pull it up out of the hot tank. You can see there was blue paint on things there, and which, by the way, that hot tank isn't hot right now, or I wouldn't be sticking my hand in there. But you can see the red primer and stuff on there, and it will take paint off. Fortunately, I think it's big enough around that I'm going to be able to chuck this baby down in there and probably take the paint and Bondo and things like that off that gas tank. That'll clean that up real nice. But the hot tank I made that out of, it's an Autoclave, has a lid on it and everything. I got it at a flea market. And really what I was interested in was the gauge on top of it, pressure gauge on there, had a price of $6 on it. And I asked the guy, well, I'd like to have that gauge. If you got a wrench to take the gauge off, I'll give you $6 for that gauge. And he goes, well, $6 is for the whole thing. I wasn't planning on taking the gauge off of there. So $6, I couldn't beat that, especially being it's solid copper. So I bought the thing, and I use it as a hot tank. The burner was missing in the bottom, but that was an easy fix. Any hot water heater has a burner on it, and people are always putting them out at the curb. So I put the heater in the bottom. You have to light it with a match, just a small little line, because I don't want to get it too hot too fast, because I really don't want to boil this water in here. Just get it almost up to a boil. And the water is nothing more than like a powdered Tide soap with water. You mix with water and heat it. And when the stuff gets up to about 180 to 210 degrees, you don't quite want to boil it. But once it gets hot like that, it'll take off paint. It takes off most things pretty well. It won't take off chrome or something like that, but it will clean stuff real well. And of course, it got rid of all the carbon and stuff inside that. So, anyways, it's something anybody could make. I think if you just had a big metal sink, the tank would have to be made out of metal, of course. Copper or stainless would be very good. That would hold up good. Steel probably would work too, but of course it might rust eventually. I don't know. But anyways, put burners under it. Maybe a big long tub or something would be good with a couple burners under it. The burners are pretty easy to get from water heaters. So, but that's what you do. Heat it up. It takes maybe an hour, hour and a half to get hot, and then after it gets hot, I turn the flame down just to a point where I'm pretty sure it isn't going to boil. And because I don't really want to boil, because it makes a lot of humidity and steam goes all over in here. I'm trying to do this inside. This lid on this thing, I put a little hose and a little line that goes outside, so any humidity that's caused by this thing will go out. But of course, there's some humidity caused by the burner. So, anyways, I'll put these baffles in there next to clean them up. That'll be the next thing. But usually, once it gets really hot like that, I leave it in there maybe 4 or 5 hours with it just below a boil, and then I shut off the burner and come out the next day, let it cool off overnight, because you sure can't stick your hand in there when it's hot like that. And then take my parts out the next day. So it usually takes about 10 hours to cool off, something like that.